It is April 2015. 70 years ago, this month, this spring, the concentration camps of the Third Reich were liberated. In their liberation, the Allies forced the nearby townsfolk to walk through the camps to face the depths of the horror that Nazism had led to. But for most of those who lived in those towns by the camps, and for that matter throughout Germany, it wasn't unexpected. It was well known that Jews were being hunted down and taken into cattle cars to concentration camps where horror and likely death awaited them. They knew it, but did nothing to stop it. They themselves weren't in danger. Why should they have risked their comfort, their safety, and their well-being for those who were? But when they walked through those camps in the spring of 1945, they were forced not only to confront the evil of Hitler and the evil of Nazism, but the evil of their own. Because in the end, it was their guilt that was the critical and deciding factor. Without their silent complicity, without the sin of omission and self-interest, the mass murder of 6 million Jewish men, women, and children could never have taken place. In 1964, in the city in which this gathering has convened, a young woman named Kitty Genovese was approaching her apartment door when she was attacked by a man wielding a knife. The young woman was brutalized over the course of approximately 1/2 hour. At least 12 people heard her screams or saw parts of the attack during those 30 minutes, but the majority did nothing to help her. Some weren't sure what the screams outside their closed windows were, but they never bothered to find out. It was cold outside and they were comfortable in their warmth of the apartment. One neighbor who actually saw the attack pondered whether he should even bother to ask another neighbor to call the police. His explanation was, "I didn't want to get involved." As a result of the bystanders of this city, the life of Kitty Genovese was violently snuffed out outside her apartment door. And now as we meet in the city of that crime, another crime is taking place outside our closed windows. 70 years after the bystanders of Nazi Germany walked through the death camps of the Holocaust, another Holocaust is underway. Again, it involves satanic hatred, violence, sadistic cruelty. Again, it involves an innocent people marked for destruction, the followers of Jesus, known as Christians throughout the world, who are taught when struck to turn the other cheek, when cursed to bless, and when persecuted to forgive those who oppress them. It is these who constitute by far the most persecuted religious group on earth. They are oppressed, they're afflicted, they're hunted down, they are killed, men, women, and children, the sacrificial lambs of the modern world. We meet today in the world's most revered gathering place of nations, and as kings and leaders and ambassadors and delegates convene here to discuss world issues, within the border of over 60 of those nations, Christians are being persecuted by their own governments or by those in whose midst they live, from North Korea to Iran, Afghanistan, Syria, Nigeria, Iraq, Pakistan, Vietnam, Indonesia, and many more. In North Korea, Christians are imprisoned, sent to labor camps, tortured, and killed for the crime of owning a Bible. In Nigeria, entire Christian village populations have been massacred. In India, 70,000 Christians have been forced to flee their homes. In Syria, 80,000 Christians have been, quote, cleansed from their homes. In Indonesia, Muslims have put 10,000 Christians to death. And now, after almost 2,000 years, some of the most ancient Christian communities, from the Copts of Egypt to the Nestorians and Assyrian believers in Syria, to the Chaldean and Assyrian believers of Iraq, are in danger of extermination. As the evil of ISIS and its allies sweep across the Middle East, an ancient civilization is being annihilated. Its people are perishing, crucified, decapitated, and buried alive in their ancestral soil. Not long ago, the vicar of Baghdad recounted how ISIS ordered 4 Christian children to renounce Jesus and follow Muhammad. "No," they said, "we love Yeshua. He has always been with us." Those were the last words the children ever spoke on this earth as ISIS beheaded them. We hear the accounts of the Christians of the first century led into Roman arenas to be torn apart by wild beasts. We ponder how savage and barbaric those days were. We wonder, what would we have done had we been there? If we had lived in those days and could have saved the lives of the innocent, would we have saved them? The truth is, we do live in those days. Those days are now. More Christians have been persecuted, brutalized, and killed in the modern age than any other. Every year, Tens of thousands of Christians are dehumanized, tortured, killed. Over 100 million Christians live under the darkness of persecution. It is the modern age which holds the most savage and barbaric of days. And what are we doing as the Christians are being led away to be adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which declares that everyone has the right to manifest his religion or belief in teaching, practice, worship, and observance. In the World Summit Outcome document of September 2005, paragraph 139, the United Nations declared that the international community has the responsibility to protect populations from genocide, ethnic cleansing, and crimes against humanity. So where are all the resolutions? Where are all the troops? Where are all the actions taken to protect the most persecuted people on earth? And where is the universal outcry? It is a strange and immoral silence, the same strange and immoral silence that allowed 6 million Jews to be delivered to their deaths. We must not repeat the mistake of the last century. Evil never stays put, would end up destroying over 60 million lives throughout the world. The evil that first warred against the Jewish people was a harbinger of what would overcome the earth. In the days when coal miners died of black lung disease, an answer was found in the caged canary. The canary was brought deep into the mines. If it grew sick and died, it would be the sign and the alarm that the air inside the mine was toxic. What happened to the caged canary was a harbinger of danger. The persecuted Christian is the caged canary of the modern world. The first target of evil, the sign and the alarm of a toxic evil in the world and a growing danger. If we don't deal with that evil when it targets others on distant shores, we'll surely deal with it when it targets us on our own shore. No civilization can call itself moral if it fails to defend its most defenseless against that which seeks to devour them. No nation can call itself good if it sits back and does nothing when the effects of evil murders the innocent. And no people can call themselves Christian if they watch passively on the sidelines as those who share the name of Messiah are oppressed and killed for their faith. If our faith consists of how comfortable and prosperous God could make us, as we deafen our ears to the cries of those who are neither comfortable or prosperous, our brothers and sisters imprisoned and tortured for their faith, how can we bear the name Christian? On the day of judgment, we'll be asked, why did you do nothing to save them? And what will the answer be? It's written in the book of Hebrews, remember those who are in chains as in chains with them. So as we sit on our couches in front of our television sets, in our air-conditioned homes, are we remembering our brothers and sisters who sit on stone floors of prison camps as they suffer for their faith? They would say to us now, do not forget us. Do not forget our suffering. Remember us. Remember us as our enemies come to take our lives. Remember us. Remember us. Do not forget that we once lived and we gave our lives for our faith and for Messiah. We cannot forget them. We must remember them and we must help them. What would you do if in your neighborhood a band of criminals take over a house next door to you and they're holding your neighbors hostage? What if every day they oppressed them, humiliated them, tortured them? What if every night you could hear through your windows their cries, their screams, and you did nothing? You didn't try to save them. You didn't tell your other neighbors and gather them to help. You didn't even bother to call the police. In the end, how would you be judged? There's only one answer. You would be judged as guilty and evil. And what if they didn't live next door but down the block? Or what if they lived a town away or a nation away or oceans away? Would it make any difference? Does geography in any way alter the charge of morality? It does not. So if men and women and children across the world are being held captive, beaten, tortured, and put in danger of death, and we know about it, and we hear their distant screams but choose to do nothing, then how will we in the end be judged? We will be judged likewise guilty. It's written on the day of judgment we'll either be upheld or condemned by the good or bad we did to God, to the Messiah. And when we ask him, when was it that we did good to you? Or when was it that we sinned against you? He will answer, when you did it to the least of these, my brothers, you did it to me. So if we refuse to get involved and help those who are the least of his brothers, what are we doing? We are refusing to help the Messiah. If we turn a deaf ear to their cries, we are turning a deaf ear to the cries of Messiah. And on that day, he will say to us, when my village burned down in Nigeria, why did you do nothing to help me? When I was in prison inside a labor camp in North Korea, why did you forget me? When ISIS came to kill my family, why did you not help us? And when I was tortured, when I was crucified, why did you ignore my cries for your help? Why did you let me perish? He will say, now depart from me, I never knew you. When that day comes, let it not be said of us that we heard the cries of God and did nothing to help him. In the time it takes us to hold this session, more people will be brutalized and killed. If it was your family about to be destroyed, if it was your life about to be taken, if it was your little child about to be beheaded, and others could help but chose not to, what would you think? Then let us do the only right and moral thing, as is written in the scriptures, deliver those who are being delivered to death. Let us not go down in the annals of history and in the judgment of God as the bystanders who saw the evil but did nothing to stop it, who heard the screams of the Kitty Genoveses of this world but chose to let them die outside our doors, who watched the cattle cars deliver the innocent to their deaths but chose to stay silent. Let us not be guilty of another Holocaust. Open up your windows, hear the cries, open up your doors, open up your heart, your life, and whatever you have to do to save them, save them. Messiah is screaming. Messiah is being buried alive. Messiah is being beheaded. Messiah is being crucified again. Save him. Save the Messiah. For God's sake, do the right thing. Deliver those who are being delivered to death. Amen. God bless.